Thank you, everybody. This has been a very, very interesting few years in preparation for this. I remember the first time we were sitting down in a room, it was thinking, oh boy, we're here, it's going to be in Africa. How many people are going to come to Africa? You know, are we going to be difficult to put a scientific program together? That was the least of our worries. As we sit here and we have the abstract management system and things start coming in, numbers start going up, they keep going up. All of a sudden we're over 400, we're over 500, we're up around 600 submissions for the honor of being in Cape Town to be able to present. And out of that, I've heard so many people come up to me and say, boy, this is really good content, wow. You know, this is good. I've had these comments over and over as people stop me in the hall. And for that, I got to admit, maybe we can take a second for all, and just big thank you to all the people presented and they were part of the program, because they're the ones who made the scientific program a success. So just a second, it was fantastic. I usually have a nice little one, you probably saw at the beginning, with representation globally. Multidisciplinary, global, innovative, clinical, technology, so many different aspects all brought together under one spot. Of course, we talked a little bit about, we have a very rigorous peer review process. Everything is reviewed by at least 3 international peer reviewers. We had 88 peer reviewers, and take a look in the abstract book. I like to read every name out, but I'm going to take a look. Number 1, look at the people on that list. You'll see the commitment, they volunteer in their time to go through and review multiple abstracts. It's an essential spot to be able to maintain the quality of the ISPO Scientific Committee. So I definitely want to give a huge thanks out to everyone who acted as a reviewer. Thank you. The other thing of quality, almost everybody kept to their 8 minutes in the free papers. So I have to admit, that was also very good in the chairs of all the, by the way, the chairs were all quite happy with the way everyone kept on. We also were very lucky to have world-class keynote speakers. Gubela Miji, a more social area, Bob Gailey, data, therapy, outcome measures, and Saeed Zahidi, talking about the innovation and setting kind of a path forward and how we can move forward with technology. Inspirational, everyone. And I guess we're going to do a little bit of clapping today, but the keynote speakers, please, as well, because I think that a lot of people were able to move ahead. And then I get a chance to thank our World Congress Scientific Committee. Before the last organizationally, we split. The Scientific Committee of ISPO, the task list has grown up, so we split into 2 groups. We have the ISPO Scientific Committee, and we've got the World Congress Scientific Committee that is able to focus right in on the content. So if we have a second, as they can maybe stand up, if we're able to call their names. You have Dick Plettenberg, Kirsten Hagberg in the back there. Mariette Schmidt, unfortunately, had to leave, but she's from the area. Jaap Harlar, Jaap over there. Pamela Gallagher as well. Harold Shingali is also in our group. And we'd like to thank, these people put untold hours in reviewing everything, double reviewing, triple reviewing, categorizing, working on the program. Is Julia here as well? Julia Miolo, she's the support from Interrel, who's gave us incalculable help as well. And Michael Pott, who's actually up in the booth at the back. So you can turn and wave at Michael and say thanks a lot. He's waving back from the very top. So we can't say enough. It doesn't happen without the people here. If without these people, you're standing at a blank PowerPoint slide saying, come to Kobe in 2019. So we want to thank everybody for all the amazing work. And last but not least, I just want to mention a little bit about the quality of science. The science and clinical innovation in the field is getting better every year. And I've had the privilege of being on this conference scientific group now for a few conferences in a row. And we were looking at our cutoff, really good thing. The cutoff point of scores, we have the international scoring, goes up every time. I think we're up around 18 with our initial one. You don't even have a chance to be considered for a podium presentation now, unless you have higher and higher level of scores, which isn't because the graders are getting easier, it's because of the quality of the work going on. So I'd like to finish off by just encouraging everybody. We've got 2 more years to innovate, 2 more years to be able to come up with something to wow the people in Japan, to wow the rest of us as we show up in Kobe for another World Congress. And I just hope you're all here with your data, and so we can move ahead. Thank you very much. That one. Are you going to do the sponsors? Or
Thank you. Sorry?
am I doing the sponsors? Or you can if you want.
Oh, is that no? Okay, you
Okay,
do.
I thought.
No,
sorry, I thought I was doing this, but
yes, you are.
But
no, I thought it finished.
I also get a chance. I don't get a chance to sit in with our outgoing president as often as I would like. So both of us, with 1 mic each, want to take a second and really thank the Autobach Ossers, our Diamond and Gold sponsor. They've been at the back and the front of ISPO for years. We can count on these companies to step in. It doesn't happen the same way. The experience is not the same without their financial and other support as we move along. So I think we all need, again, another word for you before we clap for them.
Yes, it's not just sponsor. I mean, behind the scene, they sponsor and help in so many things, even in between the Congress years. So thank you to both to Otterbock, Diamond, and Osser Gold. Thank you very much. As I said, it's packed and some people have to leave, and we're starting off with the Stephen Blatchford Award. So first I'd like to invite Stephen to say a few words, and then I'll say a few things and we'll give the award. Stephen.
Thank you, Roger. It's a great honour to be here and to present the Brian and Joyce Blatchford Award. As Said was talking about this morning, my father had a resolution to really try and make a difference, to improve the lives of our patients by really, in his case, working on innovative prosthetic designs. And after his death, it seemed to me that it would be a great idea to set up a prize to recognise and remember the work that he's done, but also to recognise and reward outstanding achievements in the prosthetic and orthotic field. And hence the Brian and Joyce Blatchford Prize.
Thank you. But if you just a few minutes. As many of you know, that this award went unawarded for the last 3 World Congresses because not much work is done as an individual, and it was an individual award. And after the last World Congress, I went to Stephen and I said, look, I think 3 years we haven't awarded. Probably the work is always done as a team. And what about converting into a team award? He said yes, and pretty soon surprised Said and me with the sum of money he decided. And I believe it's probably the 3rd, Said tells me it's probably the 3rd highest financial award, but that's not the point, it's the prestige over here. The list of applicants, we had 70 applicants. And the shortlist that the scientific committee made of 6 is almost like a who's who of the top research in the field. And we decided that even though the prize goes to the winner, we are going to invite the shortlisted teams. We're going to announce who they are. And one of them is Hiroki Hobara et al. For the biomechanics of amputee athletes wearing running-specific prostheses. And we've got certificates here for each one of those members. Is anyone from the team here? We'd like one person from the team to come up. No, well, we will arrange to get it to them. The second is Jaap Haller, Jules Becher, Merrill and Brem, Annemieke Buizer, I hope I get the pronunciations right, Frans Nollet, Vincent de Groot, and Kees Noppe. Can a Can a member of that team come up, please? I put it like this because there are so many. We're going to take for all of them. Yeah. Some of the teams are obviously had more authors in there. A large team here. I can see the second author. Come on, Karen. Come on, who's on the board. Their work was on a PISA IIT soft hand. The next is Todd Kiken, Laura Miller, Levi Hargrave, Anne Simon, Christy Turner, Gregory Dumaine, and of course, this is the team that works with TMR in Chicago. Is anybody from that team here? Nope. Okay. The next is Stefania Fatoni, Ryan Caldwell, Lily Tran, Matthew Major, Jason Wilkin, William Brett, Carice Tucker, and RJ Garrick. And the winners are Richard Brennemark, Max Ortiz Catalan, Bo Hakanson, and Orion Berlin. This, of course, is the work on osseointegration which everybody knows about.
How do we want to do the photo?
Up to all of them. Yes? Is that your first slide?
Yes.
Yeah, not the center, but the side ones.
Okay.
And the green forward.
So is my mic on? Okay. So yeah, it's indeed an honor for the Gothenburg team to stand here and receive this prestigious award. I did a very quick check on the internet, and you know, Blatchford is a real institution, funded many years ago, and we are very proud and honored. So I will try to take the opportunity and give a brief overview of what we have been doing the last 50 years. So, what about the perfect substitution? Is it a technical advanced thing? This is actually what I borrowed from Star Wars. This is the creation of Darth Vader. Maybe that's not a good example of a good thing. But it's also so that we need to think about, should we really substitute? So what should we do with an individual like this? So I would say that we don't know, and we should have great respect for the individuals out there that might need our help, but it's their decision. What we have been trying to do in a very broad collaboration is to try to advance the way we can anchor and attach prostheses. And we are a bunch of happy idiots. Van Phillips got the Blatchford Award in 1998. Flexfoot, the company that was started around his technology, invited me to a lecture in 1999. And after I had my presentation on osseointegration, the first man to stand up was a very elderly professor, and he said, "Only an idiot can believe that this will ever work." So I'm a happy idiot. So Sahlgrenska University Hospital, we have a small dedicated center for the advanced reconstruction of extremities. We work with spinal cord injuries and amputations. And here you can see a part of the team. And maybe you can recognize Dr. Berlin. There you have Kat. And there is actually our physio, and she is also in the audience here somewhere. I can see her from here. This is a part of the team collaborating with us from the Chalmers University of Technology, led by Max Ortiz, and his sort of supervisor is Bo Håkansson. I will come back to that a little bit. So osseointegration started in the early 60s when my father discovered that titanium can fuse with bone tissue. In 1965, he used this technology to anchor the first dental implants. A fairly young engineer, Bo Håkansson, he thought that why can't we listen with a titanium implant? So he developed the bone-anchored hearing aid system, where you transfer sounds through the implant to the bone tissue and into the inner ear. But this is about amputations and trying to see if we can do a better thing when you have problems with a socket. So we developed the osseointegrated amputation prosthesis that is directly attached to the skeleton and goes through the skin. It consists of two components, you can say, an intramedullary piece that you see here, and then a piece that goes through the skin. And maybe the skin is the most difficult thing to sort out. So it took us about 10 years to maybe, actually based on some of the experience from the bone-anchored hearing aid, to develop a surgical procedure that should a little bit mimic the biological system around the nail, trying to stabilize the soft tissues and avoiding movement, and thereby we could actually create something that can work for many years. Our longest follow-up is now more than 20 years. However, this is not a surgical procedure. We need to rehabilitate the patients. We need to retrain the muscles. We need to understand that bone tissue is not a dead piece of wood. It's actually a very complicated anatomical structure. So by retraining the skeleton, Using cyclic loading, we will create interface, we create changes in the fluid flow shear stress in the canaliculi, in the micro anatomy of the bone. And those changes will stimulate osteoblast, building bone, and decrease the activity of osteoclast, and thereby remodeling the bone so it will be stronger and stronger. We published in 2014 the first prospective study on this technology in 51 patients followed for 2 years. We had a 92% cumulative success rate, and we could show clinical significant changes in more prosthetic use, better mobility, less problems, improved overall situation, and maybe most importantly, or definitely most importantly, an improved general physical health-related quality of life. And increased sitting comfort. And increased range of motion. However, there are of course complications with this technology. And this is just to illustrate one example of a fall leading to a fairly severe damage to the implant system that can be handled sometimes. In 2015, FDA approved this treatment for use in the US. And maybe some of you know that I'm part-time in Gothenburg, but I spend most of my time in San Francisco for these reasons. We can also use this for thumb amputees, for transradial amputees, for transhumeral amputees, for very, very high amputations. So, is this fantastic? No. Anchorage is not everything. A real limb, a hand, is a direct elongation of the brain. When we use our hands, we think, we activate the brain, we generate signals in the brain. We need to take care of those signals. We need to find ways of routing them out of the extremity to the prosthetic components so we can add brain control to the components. But we also need to generate feedback back to the brain, just like sensory feedback in a normal hand. To be able to do this, we need a bunch of smart people. Maybe another group of idiots. So there is where the engineers around Max Ortiz come in. He came in first as a master student and then a PhD student, and now he's really running the really advanced development. In 2013, the first patient was implanted with this advanced electrode system. And here you can see an illustration of what that means in the first generation of the system. With the old system, with surface electrodes, he's trying to control a raw egg. And you see, due to the simultaneous movements of all muscles in the arm, there is crosstalk and he can't really control the egg. However, now he's switching to the new system with the implanted electrodes that very selectively pick the right signals. And there, we are showing that it was a raw egg also in this test. This patient was also supplied with a nerve cuff electrode, and Max could, in the laboratory, tickle his non-existing fingers with electrical stimulation. a great scientific achievement, but of limited benefit for the patient. So here is a video where the patient is testing a new take-home system with motor control and sensory feedback built in. So the only thing that is wrong here is the color of that grape. It should be yellow to fit with the schematic illustration previously. But I hope we can live with that. So a project that started off with like dental implants, now moving to improved anchorage of amputation prostheses, leading to possibilities for individuals with amputation, moving on to improved motor control and the first generation of rudimentary sensory feedback, paving the way for much more advanced sensory feedback. And maybe also, and we are working on that presently, proprioception, which is a real scientific challenge. I foresee in the future that we can actually create superhumans that will outperform ordinary humans. Not in every respect, because the hand is a fantastic tool, but in some respects. But we need to do it in a way that we don't create new Darth Vaders. So finally, I would like to take the opportunity on behalf of the teams that have been working so hard together for so many years. I would like to thank Blatchford again. I would like to thank ISPO for a fantastic scientific meeting. Oops. Can I get the last slide, please? But also for a fantastic social event yesterday evening. And this is Dr. Salminger, and he is promoting a meeting in 2018 in Vienna. And since the ISPO meeting is so far away, I hope to see you all there next year in Vienna. And again, thank you very much.
That was a brilliant presentation. Thank you very much. May I now invite MS Wong, the chair of the Society's Scientific Committee, to present some of the awards that the Society gives at this time of the Congress. You need to know who they are.
I need to check for the certificate as well.
I'll give them.
Thank you, Ajit. And Ed just mentioned that it's not an easy task to go through this 600-something free paper and poster, and also it's not easy task to go through this Bradford Prize and for Scheimer as well. And for Scheimer, Rajiv is going to present the prize later. And I would like to introduce a bit about this. Can I go to stage first before the Best Paper Award?
Actually, this one. Here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, then I. Oh, super good. Okay, I would like to introduce as SAGE Prize was established as travel grants for the young professionals who score higher in their submitted paper to the congresses. They are the winners. I hope that my pronunciation is correct, and would like to invite them to come to the stage to receive these certificates. Numan Nassim from Jordan. Lisa Akhtar from Pakistan. Solomon Jesse Saria from Tanzania. Service Shio from Tanzania. David Surima from Tanzania. Shurhab Benro Bidari from Iran. Alham Esfandir Ari from Iran. Please come to the stage. Congratulations. Thank you very much. This is yours, sir. Please go to that. Maybe we have a group photo. Thank you. Congratulations. So please go to the street. Okay, we can change later. For the Congress Award, we have this best paper in different category. So first category is the advancing clinical treatment. I don't know whether you have a sharp eye when the slide flips very quickly. Can you see your name? No. Okay. The winner you can see from is on advancing clinical treatment is Geneva Lucari-Wick. Are you here? If not, we can send to the winner later. For the second award is advancing education. So the winner is Nikki Samor. Where is Nikki? Okay. Maybe outside is too attractive. They go to safari. The next Best Paper Award on Advancing Technology. The winner is Jin Hao Tang. So on the topics, methods to assess biomechanical coupling at transfemoral residuum and socket interface. Congratulations. Thank you. And the last but not the least is the Best Poster Award. The winner is Muja Murdaris. On the topic, the use of osseous integrated titanium implant to treat transtibial amputee. For those who are not here, then we will send a certificate to them. Now I give back the time to Rajiv. Thank you.
The Society also gives an award donated by the Forsheimer family, which is awarded to the most outstanding paper on objective clinical assessment, clinical evaluation, or clinical measures published in the Prosthetics and Orthotics Journal. The award was assessed by the scientific committee, of which MS Wong is the chairman. Unfortunately, no member from the Forsheimer family has been able to attend, but they did write a letter to me, which I will just read out. Thank you for your letter presenting the proposed winner of the Forsheimer Prize. That is, I'll put the name on there, and that is Elisa Bettoni, Giorgio Ferrero, Hadil Baksh, Elizabeth Bravini, Giuseppe Mazzazzo. I must apologize at this stage for my awful pronunciation of these names, but I'm sure I'll be forgiven. Franco Noni. The letter goes on to say, this year I had the pleasure to read the paper together with my son Daniel, who graduated with a PhD in physics a couple of years ago, and thus complements me nicely in the evaluation. The paper fits well with the focus on clinical assessment, measurement, and evaluation, which characterizes the ambition of the prize. We fully approve the decision of the scientific committee and find the paper very deserving of the 2017 Forsheimer Prize. None of the family members will be able to come to the ISPO World Congress this time. We would therefore be honored, and then has requested me specifically to present the prize on their behalf. Could I invite the winner or winners, whoever's here today? Just a second, I'll give you the prize first, and then I believe you're going to give a short presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. And you now get a short presentation, so it's this full.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
Thank you so much. Dear all, thank you so much. First, I would like to say thank to the Forsheimer family that established this prize. It is a sincere honor for me to represent my research group. I would like also to say thank to the ISPO, to the scientific committee that assess our paper as one of the most outstanding on this topic published on the Prosthetic Orthotics International. I'm representing here my group. My group is done by people that are working in 2 universities and in one scientific institute in the north of Italy. This is the remote? Yes. So this is the paper. We wanted to give to the readers of the journal one simple way to find the correct questionnaire to assess patient satisfaction with orthosis. With orthosis used for the upper and lower limbs. This is because there are a large numbers of instruments to assess patient satisfaction. Patient satisfaction is very important, but it's very hard to find the correct one to use in specific field, for example, in some specific disease or for some specific part of the body. The background, so it was that the patient satisfaction is very important because we are working for the patient, and sometimes it can occur the patient is not satisfied with our choice, and once that we give the furniture of the orthosis, then let it in the house without a use at all this instrument. So it is important to engage the patient to know if he is satisfied, so also to have this like feedback for our prescriptions, and also because this information is very important for the industry that has to modify, to improve the orthosis to increase their efficacy in to improve the quality of life of our patients. So the objective was to identify the validated questionnaire that are used to assess patient satisfaction with orthosis, and evaluating the clinical field of application, which were the characteristics that they were assessing, and if they really were validated for that purpose. We searched the literature in the last 20 years, and a large number of papers were selected, but only just more than 100 were fitting our selection criteria. Here you can see one of the tables that are present in this paper is about the questions that are assessing orthosis for upper limb. We divided according to the main clinical disorders, and we showed which were the specific questions that were used. And as you can see, most of the questions that are used in our publication are not using validating instruments, and this decreases the power of our publication. But some of the papers use specific validated tools, and this is very important to know, because it is fundamental to continue to use validated instruments to assess our research. Another objective of our paper was to assess which aspects of the orthosis was of interest for the specific questionnaires. You can see on the right side of the slide the list of the 4 validated questions that were found by our review. And on the left side of the column, all the characteristics that are analyzing these questionnaires, divided in the intrinsic characteristics of the orthosis. It means, for example, the weight, because it is a part of the orthosis, or function characteristics of the orthosis, so for example, ability to improve some movement, like for example, walking, or the patient perceptions, like, for example, comfort or pain dependent by the orthosis. So our paper was able to identify 4 main questionnaires. 2 were generic, so can be used for every kind of orthosis for upper and lower limb, and 2 were specific application only for orthopedic shoes. It is it must be said that these were the only one that had validated properties in terms of reliability and validity. We believe that there is a further analysis of the psychometric properties of these questionnaires, because few publications were reporting patient satisfaction using these validating instruments, and it's necessary to increase the number of publications to verify if these questionnaires are valid also in other applications, for example, in other disease or in other kind of population of patients. But there is also a new validated need of new validated tools that can be specific for some part of the body or for some specific disease, so more related to the purpose of our research. So it is important, as our conclusion in our paper, to highlight that it's important to assess the patient satisfaction because there is a more effective clinical selection of existing well-accepted devices, and because it is very important to develop new orthoses that can improve the mobility of our patients. And so I suggest to you that you represent the main researcher in the world that are working on this topic to use these tools to verify the efficacy of your work, asking to the patient with validated tools their satisfaction with the orthosis, and eventually to try to modify, to improve these questionnaires and to increase their validated properties. Thank you so much. Thank you to the ISPO, and thank you also to the Forheimer family. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And don't forget that. Well, the next presentation here is from Mr. Mike Barclay, who's the chairman of the, well, actually the chairman of the local organizing committee here, but also the chairman of ISPO South Africa, who wanted to give a short presentation.
Good afternoon. First off, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here. This Congress could not happen without your presence. And having said that, I'd like to just take you on a journey. I'd like to invite you to come with me on a journey. This Congress has been coming 12 years. ISPO South Africa have been on a 12-year journey, and I'd like to just take you along with me. This whole thing started in the year 2005. I happened to have been at our university chatting with the head of department, Jacques Swanepoel, and he'd just come from an international educators meeting where he'd spoken with Harold Shangali, who was the then ISPO president, who had actually indicated to him that he felt that it was time Africa had hosting this Congress. So, there we go. So, an 11-year, 2006, I was in Leipzig at the German Congress, and this had been in my mind for some time, and I thought, okay, well, I'll go along to the ISPO stand and go find Harold and just have a chat with him about the possibility of this happening. And went along to the ISPO booth, and I couldn't find him. And I was introduced to the president-elect, who was Dan Blocker, and Dan invited me to come to Vancouver the following year to the ISPO Congress in 2007 and present a proposal. What's happening here? So off I went to, oops, so that's wrong. There we go. So off I went to Vancouver, and there I met with Dan and Jan Geertsen, who was the president-elect. And the first thing they asked me was, how big is your member society? And I said, well, we do not have a member society. Okay, is there a pointer on you? Is that the pointer? Okay, thank you. Sorry, and I said, we don't have a member society, we just have a group of individual members. And they said, well, only member societies can host or bid to host a international ISPO conference. So you better go back and get yourself sorted into a member society. So this is what we did. That same year, our National Association were hosting a congress in my hometown, George, and we invited Dan, and he came out, and negotiations started for this member society to come into existence. This happened in the year 2009, when we hosted a national congress in Somerset West, which is just down the road from here. Dan came out again, and the ISPO South Africa was born. In fact, we created an all-time record in terms of registration of numbers at one time when we registered all our new members. Then 2010, South Africa was hosting the FIFA World Soccer Cup, and we were in Leipzig at the international stand promoting our bid and promoting South Africa and inviting all the delegates who might come to South Africa to view the soccer to come and visit our colleagues. Then to 2011, ISPO South Africa hosted their first ISPO conference at Sun City, and Jan Geertsen, the then president, came to open this congress. And during the congress, we had some informal talks, and Jan advised us that if we wanted to be a serious bidder for this congress, we need to get unity not only in South Africa, but in Africa. And this was, sorry, before I get there, 2011, we were invited to bid for the 2015 World Congress. We were invited to come out to Marseille in France to the French Congress. Alan Oates and Stanford Slubbert went, and they bid for this Congress. Fortunately, and I say this with great relief, we were not awarded this Congress. We were not in a situation, I believe, at that time to actually have hosted the Congress, and we're in a much better position now. Then in 2012, our unity negotiations started. We hosted a Congress in Balita, which is near Durban, and we invited Harold Shangali and Sis Ali came out representing FATO, and some historic meetings took place during this Congress where a memorandum of understanding was signed between ourselves and FATO where they would support our bid for the 2017 World Congress. 2013, we went off to Hyderabad in India, and this is where we were awarded the bid for this Congress. In 2013, we also went to unify our relationships with our colleagues in FATO, and we went to their Congress in Yamoussoukro, where we promoted our bid for 2017. 2014, we hosted ISPO Congress just adjacent in the Western Hotel, and Bengt Soderberg, then president of ISPO, was invited to come out, and he opened the Congress. And also representing FATO at this Congress was Harold Shangali and Claude Tardif. 2015, we went off to Lyon again to promote this World Congress, and we launched ISPO South Africa. During that Congress, were nominated as one of the 5 pilot countries for ISPO. 2016, we went off to Leipzig, where again we promoted the ISPO 2017 World Congress. Just getting a little lost here, all these years. In September of that year, August of that year, our vice chair of our LOC, Jan Hendrik Swiggers, went to Togo, Loma in Togo. We again united our relationships with the FATO and promoted this Congress. 2016 September, SOHAPA host their Congress in Johannesburg, and our president, Professor Rajiv Hanspal, came out and again opened the Congress. And also attending that Congress was Mr. Klaus Ernst of the Leipziger Messe, who specifically came out to canvass support for the Trade Expo from the South African representatives there. And here we are today, standing. This dream of ours has become a reality, and we're standing at the closing of this ceremony, for which, again, I thank everybody for being here. Now, if we do not leave a legacy by this Congress for the disabled people of South Africa and Africa, we would have failed in this Congress. And I believe the legacy has already started. Things already happened before this Congress and during this Congress to leave a legacy for people like this young man who's just dreaming of having prosthetics. And I think going forward, we can change the lives of people like this. And I thank you, and I would now like to ask our LOC members to come up onto the stage. I would also like to ask all those presidents, Mr. Harold Shangali, Mr. Dan Blocker, Mr. Jan Gertsen, Mr. Bengt Soderberg, Professor Rajiv Hanspal, and then also our incoming president, Professor Friedberg Kohler and Professor Ed Lemaire, to please, although the two last gentlemen, we didn't mention their names during this, but they've played a massive role in this Congress becoming a reality. Now, what we've got here, we'd like to just leave, sorry, Jan Hendrik, this is for you. You will hand this. Oh, you've got one. Okay, then take the one you've got. Tanya's, where's Tanya? Not here. Sorry. We're going to present, we'd like to present them all with something that they can remember this Congress by. And what we've done in the past, we've presented, one of the things in Africa is soapstone. And so I've got some little amputees models carved in soapstone. However, soapstone is very heavy and you don't want to travel with soapstone. So what we've done is we've had an artist, there's this guy at the waterfront who does art on leather in the Big Five, and he's produced this for us. Now, if you look, just that at the bottom is our logo, our Congress logo, so they'll remember this Congress. The outline, the African continent. Here we have the people that we want to leave a legacy for. This is a Sotho man. He's got his Sotho blanket on. He's not looking very happy in this thing. I'll come back to that. And we've got one of the Big Five. Each of these will have a different. I've kept the King of the Jungle for our president at the moment. You'll receive the one with the King of the Jungle. But hopefully when this Congress comes back to South Africa, we can again present these, and this guy will have a big smile on his face, and he'll have a prosthetic, be wearing a prosthetic. So I'd like, first of all, Harold Shangali. Is Harold here? Okay, Harold, we'll have to send Harold's on to him. Dan, I'd like to ask Alan will present you with with yours. Jan, where's Jan? Jan not here? We'll also on safari, okay?
Going to the Big Five.
Carla, will you please present to Bent? I would like to present to Rajiv. Jan Hendrik, right next to you stands our president, our new president. Would you present to him, please? And Renzo, if you can please present to Ed. Thank you very much. You want to come in for a photo? Can you get a group photograph? Can you just get a group photograph here? You just all come in. So we'd like you to send those two gentlemen right here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, by most accounts, this has been a successful Congress. And when people have asked me, how's it going? And I say, very good. And then I sort of pause. And the pause is only because of what Mike Barkley has said. It's a start. And we must leave a legacy. There have been many firsts in this Congress. The first time we had an IC2A speaker, the first time we've had a national anthem, the first time we've announced the launch of standards. But there's also another first, and that is, I think this is the first Congress where we've been thinking of the legacy a good 2 years before in discussions with Mike Barkley and the LOC over here. And that really is what Mike's also mentioned, and I'm very pleased it's mentioned. And also, I believe yesterday, or was it the day before, somebody told me that the dean of the Tut University came here, and the day he went back, already major changes have started. Good. That's what we want. And I'm sure it'll continue. And this is the time when I have a fair list of people I must thank, because this Congress and a World Congress of this size cannot be held without a lot of support and cooperation from people. I'll start with the CTICC and all the staff who are here, who've been working, and I must say that I've actually found them extremely polite in whatever they've done. And also very efficient, because thrice, when I didn't have my lanyard, I was stopped and questioned. It was lying in my pocket. And rather than being upset, I was reassured that there is very good security and management over here. So thank you to all CTICC staff. Ilios, the local PCO that have organized this, and they too are extremely polite and efficient. And I must thank Ridwan and all his team. I don't know if any of them are in this room, but they must be thanked. The local organizing committee for their 11, or was it 12-year journey? And really the nucleus of all this, leading to this Congress. All participants, all delegates, and all sponsors, including Otterbock, the diamond, and OSA, the gold sponsor. All exhibitors. And then comes to the World Congress Committee, who really represent ISPO International, all members from the World Congress Committee, and the Interral staff who've been providing us with support all the while for these 2 years. The central we have two. We have a central LOC and the local, and the central LOC has been managed by the Congress Director, Karen Durant, who is unable to be here today, but the manager is, and he was a bit reluctant to come down here, but Michael, you do have to. He's trying to hide behind there. Is it Michael coming down? I'm not sure how much people realize, but he's probably been working 12, 14 hours a day. I wake up in the morning and I find, I call it the green light, which means somebody's on light and he's on Skype on a Sunday and so on. He's been working very hard and it's really managed all this on behalf of ISPO.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
There is actually one for Karen, who I know lives not far from you. So that's for Karen.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And of course, as people realize and know that this Congress has a scientific component and also an exhibition, which in our specialty generally appears to be larger in size. And there are people who sometimes come just for the exhibition, but it's a bit more difficult if you're so far away. And our exhibition has always been managed by Leipziger Messe with Klaus Ernst, who was here but has flown out at 2 o'clock, and Helena. And I wonder if she's here. Is she here? Well, I'd like her to come down also. You're welcome. I hope these both remember Cape Town for this. And I think after this, I have to hand over to Friedbert Kohler. But before I call him over, I have to say that we couldn't find a better and a more qualified president. But we did think that there was one small aspect that was missing, and that he required, this is like an appraisal, I suppose, he required training to complete his full education and training and competencies. That's the new word, isn't it, for this? And we arranged that in Seoul. He was trained in Seoul, and he also had his examination there. And to show to you that he did pass with flying colors, I've got a small video. And I think Michael can probably hear me. Michael, could you show us the video to ensure these people that he is 100% qualified now? He's done it.
Thank you very much. I didn't know that was my training. I would have stayed at home that night. It's not much for me to say, and I don't want to keep you very long, but I think at the end of such a successful Congress, everybody needs an applause for the great work you have done in contributing to this Congress. Rajiv just said that he wakes up early in the morning and he sees the green light on. I want to give you a bit of insight what early in the morning means for Rajiv. I'm in my office in the mid-afternoon, about 3 p.m, at 6 a.m. in the morning, or 5 a.m. in the morning. Recently it's been at 2 p.m. Rajiv is online. Sometimes he even comes down and has a Skype chat to me. That's the kind of dedication he has. Then I go home and we may talk in the evenings. Then I wake up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee, he has a glass of red wine, reversal from the night before, and he's still there. So I want to give my thanks, and the thanks of all of ISPO, to the Hanspal family. Because I don't know when you got to talk to your husband and your father over the last 2 years, because I think he talked more to me than he did to you. But I think we owe them a round of applause. Then, of course, we come to President Hanspal, who was a wonderful Hanspal. Oh, sorry, a wonderful president. Probably also a wonderful Hanspal. We had 3 keynote lectures. The first one was about putting your soul into things. And he has his soul in things. And he has his soul in ISPO. He talks about ISPO. There are many nights when we're together, and I'm glad it's only generally 2 or 3 nights in a row. We sit together till 2 o'clock in the morning and we talk about ISPO, and you can see why I can't handle that for prolonged. But President Hanspal, he can keep going. He's a great man, and he really has ISPO at heart, and he's provided great leadership, and his soul has always been in the right place. The second keynote lecture was about measuring things. I don't need to go over that. He's just told us a number of firsts from his Congress. But throughout his presidency, he's achieved many great things which have been measurable. And this morning's conference was about being innovative and thinking into the future. And I can tell the audience that President Hanspal has set everything in order that, in fact, my presidency is easy, because he's already set everything in order that will take us into the future, and not just have to accommodate the challenges of tomorrow, because today's challenges are all taken care of. So I want to thank President Hanspal for a great leadership on behalf of all of ISPO. It's really been great to have you, not just on behalf of ISPO, but also as a personal mentor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
1 second. I'm going to hand this to you.
Yes. The official handing over of the flag ceremony. I think you're supposed to open it up and fold it again, but it takes too long. So we've heard about a great standard of the Congress, and it's coming to the close. And usually what happens at the close of the conference, everybody goes home and they drown their sorrows in yet more alcohol. But I encourage you to do more. Look forward to the next Congress, because the next Congress is, I can't say it's going to be bigger and better, but the next Congress has already been set to bring some of those synapses of ISPO and the members and the supporters which we have together, so that we can achieve even more in collaboration and in collaborative events. And in Kobe, in 2 years' time, we have a great event with a Paralympic or pre-Paralympic session, with a WHO event, with a robotic exhibition complementing the usual high standard of the ISPO World Congress. I'd like to call up, who is it? Is it E.G.? Are you coming up to present the video? And I also will hand the flag to E.G. I only get very temporary custody of the flag, as you can see, as it is actually the World Congress flag. So I hand it over to you, E.G., and you can prepare us for Kobe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It was only 5 days before this Congress. Takaaki Chin, who is organizing the 2019 ISPO, was not able to make to Cape Town. So I took a quick decision to come. Took me over something like 30 hours. And I said, well, I don't know what I do, but I met with great scientific papers, hospitality of Cape Town, and beauty of South Africa. Unfortunately, I spent going to safaris and spent all day in winery for the last 2 days. I missed some of the event. Now I'm able to do something for this Congress to invite you to 2019 Kobe meeting. The World Congress number 6 was held in Kobe in 1989. When I was very young, very, very young, and then I have to help as a deputy secretary of the Congress, I worked very hard. So I thought I was going to retire, as usual, but nobody made me do so. So I'm supporting the ISPO Kobe, along with Dr. Seishi Samura, to be advisor. And also we have a local ISPO welcome committee. Japan is famous for hospitality. We won the Tokyo Olympic 2020 by one of the speakers from Japan saying, omotenashi. That's the hospitality. Coming to the October in 2019, that's where you see a beauty of Kobe, which is first international city in Japan. And they still have many, many expats living in Kobe. Small town, but very international. Also nearby, we have Kyoto. You can enjoy a natural beauty of Japan in October. Color changes in mountains. You have a deep red color, yellow and green to make your heart wonder why I never seen this. It is so beautiful, and then we try our best, particularly Dr. Sawamura. He is now 86, I think 86. He still wants to repeat the hospitality that he provided in 1989. Then I'm sure some of you have been there, and hoping that the younger generation also enjoy what has been done in 1989. And I wish I can have switched to just skip the 2 years to welcome you in the next moment in Kobe, but unfortunately I cannot. But also, same times, you can wait for 2 years thinking of what we should do and what I should prepare for my scientific paper, which restaurant to go to. You have 2 years to think about it. And then I hope to see most of you in this room in Kobe in 2019. I think we have some video to show, because I'm sorry, Shin told me 5 minutes ago I have to make a speech. He said, everything is on the video, so you don't have to do anything, just receive this. So anyway, so can we show the video?
start here.
My father told me once when I was young, speech before the toast and queue to the toilet, it's shorter is better. And we hope we try to make your registration in Kobe to be very quick and short. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your attendance at this closing ceremony of World Congress 2017. I wish you all a safe trip, holiday, travels, wherever you go, and ultimately a safe trip back home. See you again.